Mbappé. Brilliant finish. It's Salah! Oh, what a goal!
The 2025 Ballon d'Or is no longer a one-man race. It's a five-way battlefield defined by timing, titles, and total domination. Ousmane Dembélé just led PSG to a historic treble, but that doesn't seal anything because Lamine Yamal turned elite football into his practice routine. Mo Salah just matched a 30-year-old Premier League record, Raphinha dropped a Champions League campaign for the ages, and Mbappé, well, apart from the European Golden Boot, he's still got 2 trophies left to chase. In this video, we're breaking down more than just stats. We'll discuss the influence, legacy, and, in the end, how even politics could determine who takes home football's most prestigious award. First of all, let's get an eye on the ever-changing criteria for the Golden Ball. The 2025 Ballon d'Or isn't just about who scores the most goals, it's about who defines the season. According to UEFA.com and L'Equipe, the 3 core criteria guiding this year's decision are: firstly, individual performances, decisiveness and influence. Secondly, collective success and titles achieved. Thirdly, sportsmanship and fair play. These principles completely change the idea of the best player throughout the year. There are raw numbers on one side, and then the quality and decisiveness a player brings to his team are also important on the other side. The third reason is that we're now officially living in the post-Messi-Ronaldo era. For a consecutive 10 to 15 years, football was blessed with 2 eccentric individuals who would score 50-plus goals, give around 20 assists, and make it impossible to win for every other footballer on the planet. Do you remember the peak of this enthralling rivalry? It was in 2012. Messi scored an out-of-this-world number of 91 goals and 22 assists, a goal every 65 minutes for the full year. The best Ballon d'Or numbers since the award started, and consequently, the Golden Ball bowed to him. Our friend Cristiano from Portugal was not miles behind either. In his peak year, he scored 69 goals and assisted 16 as well, with 85 goal contributions and a goal in every 69 minutes throughout the year. He was a clear winner, even ahead of Ribéry, who won the treble that season with Bayern Munich. So, one thing is very clear. Since these 2 insanely talented weirdos are no longer playing in Europe and no one is bagging those unreal numbers after them, the race is very absorbing every year now. 5 names headline the conversation this year: Ousmane Dembélé, Lamine Yamal, Raphinha, Mo Salah, and Kylian Mbappé. Each brings a distinct flavor to the race. Some are goal machines, others are orchestrators, and some were leaders in moments when everything was on the line. With evolved criteria, we will evaluate the main rivals of this year. Remember to watch the full video, because at the end, we'll be discussing controversies around the top 5 and what could haunt them from lifting the Golden Ball. Let's take a quick look at the individual numbers and the trophy factor. Let's start with Ousmane Dembélé, the man whose season feels both like a redemption arc and a career peak at the same time. After years plagued by injuries and inconsistency, Dembele exploded into form for Paris Saint-Germain this year under Luis Enrique. In 48 matches, he scored 33 goals and 13 assists, which earned him the Liga 1 Player of the Season award. He guided PSG to a historic treble and their first ever Champions League, while being the Champions League Player of the Season as well, with 8 goals in the competition overall, and his 2 goals in the UEFA Nations League, and you see a player who's won almost everything in the season. However, his season is not over yet. France is playing Spain in the semi-final of the Nations League, and there will be one more chance to shine for the final stretch. Then there's Lamine Yamal, the wonder kid from La Masia, whose age-defying performances made headlines all season. At just 17, he didn't just participate, he dominated and mocked every opponent. With 18 goals and 25 assists in 55 appearances, he was central to Barcelona's domestic treble. Whether it was a La Liga title decider or a high-pressure Copa del Rey final against arch-rivals, Yamal showed maturity, vision and courage well beyond his years. He was named La Liga Player of the Season by Transfermarkt, and UEFA honoured him with the Champions League Goal of the Season award. His left foot is poetry in motion, and his influence on the rhythm of Barcelona's attack can't be quantified by stats alone. Time to go to the EPL to meet Mohamed Salah, now 32 and the oldest in the list. In 52 matches, he tallied 47 goal contributions and led Liverpool to reclaim the Premier League title after a four-peat of Man City. Not only did he secure the Premier League Golden Boot and Playmaker award, but he also equaled the 30-year-old Premier League record for most goal contributions in a single season. He joined Alan Shearer and Andy Cole, but a notable thing is that they both achieved this number in a 42-game season, which Salah has done only in 38 games. Although his Champions League run ended early on penalties against the champions PSG, Salah's domestic dominance and veteran leadership kept Liverpool ticking through one of the most competitive seasons in years. Raphinha had a season that reminded us of the Raphinha who saved Leeds United from relegation in the 2021-22 season. Across 56 matches, he produced a staggering 34 goals and 25 assists.
No one's run more than him in the game. Raphinha against Summer Break. Raphinha again!
It's in, trying to contend with Barcelona. Here comes Raphinha!
He became the Champions League Golden Boot winner with 13 goals and 8 assists, and also equaled Cristiano Ronaldo's record of most goal contributions in one edition of the UEFA Champions League. He scored a hat-trick against Manuel Neuer and helped Barcelona to take revenge against the most agonizing rivals in Europe. With the La Liga Player of the Month award in August, Raphinha has become the captain of an injury-hit Barcelona when they needed him the most at the start of the season. Finally, we have Kylian Mbappé, whose first season in Real Madrid white was explosive. In 59 matches, he scored 42 goals, including 31 in La Liga, and won the Pichichi ahead of Robert Lewandowski. While Madrid lost 2 finals to Barcelona and didn't achieve the collective success their fans crave, Mbappé remained a beacon of consistency. His pace, flair, and clinical finishing made him impossible to defend. Most importantly, his season isn't done yet. With the UEFA Nations League semi-final and the FIFA Club World Cup still ahead, Mbappé has the chance to elevate his campaign from impressive to iconic and tick the criteria of trophies in the Ballon d'Or power rankings. Now that we've explored their individual excellence, it's time to weigh the bigger picture. Title-turning points and true influence. That's where the race tightens and contenders begin to separate from legends. What could be important in this decision is decisiveness and influence, plus sportsmanship and fair play. The golden ball always demands quality as well as quantity from its beholder. In football, moments define the memory, and memory often defines legacy. So, the trophy factor, only when combined with decisiveness and influence, turns the good seasons into Ballon d'Or winning ones. We'll start with Ousmane Dembélé, who is living in the storybook arc of football lovers. The misunderstood genius is finally finding clarity at the highest level. On a football pitch, an informed Dembele is a cheat code who can hurt you with both of his feet, and in every possible way. Luis Enrique rates him as a leader and the most disruptive footballer right now. With a new role as a false nine, he's the face of Luis Enrique's system. In all important matches PSG played this year, Dembele was relentless at his role. Without him, PSG was not as efficient in breaking the deadlocks of defense. The most underrated thing that the average football fan does not notice is how he was always in a sprinting position to press Jan Sommer in the Champions League final. Sommer was suffocated in the box, and Inter's build-up was completely disrupted, which led to the humiliation in the final that we've never seen before. On the other hand, in Spain, Lamine Yamal carries the unique weight of rewriting expectations at age 17. What makes his season remarkable isn't just the medals. He is perhaps the most important player of Blaugrana. We all saw what happened when Yamal was injured in December. Barcelona lost their lead as table toppers and succumbed to number 3, 7 points behind Real Madrid. When he returned in January, they again picked up form and didn't lose a single game before securing the league title. That's how important Lamine Yamal is for Catalans. If you want to understand his uniqueness and superhuman abilities, consider watching the video we already made on just how decisive he is for Barcelona. He doesn't hide behind experienced players, he leads the attack with the most 139 successful dribbles and the most 265 take-ons in Europe's top 5 leagues this season. This is rare and something you can't teach to a professional footballer, let alone a 17-year-old kid. Raphinha earned his influence the hard way through adversity. When Barcelona was suffering with multiple injuries and no captain was available at the start of the season, Raphinha Diaz became the man they wanted, with passion and love for the badge. He is truly a fighter and a steady force who raised his level when the team's back was against the wall. That's a different kind of influence. Less flashy, but deeply respected in footballing circles. With his hat-tricks and passionate leadership, he ignited the storm in Barcelona, which matured as the most beautiful football-playing team for the whole season. His role in Champions League games was particularly significant. Whether it was the decisive goal against Benfica when playing with 10 men, or the goals against Inter when his team needed him the most, he always stepped up and often dragged Barcelona with sheer determination. Mohamed Salah's season tests the balance between domestic brilliance and continental absence. His influence was felt in nearly every single Premier League top 6 clash. He carried an enormous psychological burden as the main man of a transitional Liverpool side under immense expectations. Yet, week after week, he delivered, often as the man to break stalemates. His league campaign was a masterclass in leadership and execution. The question is, how much weight should a domestic title hold in a year when others delivered on multiple fronts? That question looms large in the minds of the voters. Last but surely not least is Kylian Mbappé, who is arguably the most marketable name in the world of football right now. While Real Madrid fell short of major trophies, Mbappé was often the player keeping them alive. However, influence without reward is a difficult sell to voters. The Club World Cup and Nations League semi-final still offer redemption, but they're not guaranteed. What complicates Mbappé's case is a subtle but real debate. Was he really decisive in big moments, or simply consistent across the season? The answer may be the difference between finishing on the podium and watching from the outside. What many people don't talk about, though, is the controversies and what can haunt them. We evaluated everyone on the required criteria, but now, to understand how off-pitch dynamics shape the Ballon d'Or, we first need to look at how the winner is actually chosen. The Ballon d'Or is awarded through a voting system that involves top journalists from FIFA's top 100 ranked nations. Each journalist submits a ranked list of their top 5 players. First place votes carry 6 points, second place earns 4, third gets 3, fourth gets 2, and the fifth receives just 1 point. These points are tallied to determine the winner. This system creates space for subjectivity and external influence. It also means that media narratives, club campaigns, and brand presence can significantly sway results. That's where clubs like Real Madrid and Barcelona come in. Their historical stature, media machinery, and global fan bases enable them to amplify their players' profiles, sometimes beyond their performances. Over the years, these institutions have skillfully shaped award season narratives, making sure that their top starters are consistently in the conversation. The prime examples of this are last year's Vinicius versus Rodri and treble winner Haaland versus World Cup winner Messi the year before. Real Madrid boycotted the whole ceremony just because Vinicius didn't win it, and how fan bases over the years accused the robbery in the award selection when their favourite candidate does not win it. So, Ousmane Dembélé, despite a treble-winning season in the Champions League heroics, lacks this narrative machinery. PSG, while massive in stature, doesn't yet command the same historical voting loyalty as Spain's two giants or the top English clubs. Dembele's past reputation for inconsistency and injuries, they may also linger in the minds of voters unfamiliar with the full arc of his current season. Without a strong PR push, there's risk his remarkable season won't translate into the votes it deserves, especially from voters who rely on media framing to form opinions. Yamal, with all his brilliance, is also not without vulnerabilities. The too young to win narrative still exists, regardless of his consistent performances. No under-18 player has ever won the Golden Ball. His low number of goals is also talk of the town, despite the unparalleled playmaker role that he plays. How Barcelona got eliminated from an injury hit Inter Milan, which was bulldozed by PSG in the final, is another factor that voters may feel that his peak is yet to come. So, they opt for someone else. Kylian Mbappé presents a classic Ballon d'Or dilemma, which is extraordinary individual output with a modest team trophy haul. His stats are elite, but it doesn't fulfill the criteria of team success, and that clearly can haunt his chances, especially when other candidates have won trebles. It seems like Mbappé, Dembele and Yamal would not only clash for the Nations League semi-final on June 6th, but it will also settle the dust around the arguments of the Golden Ball winner this year. Lastly, Raphinha, with all his leadership, most goal contributions, and Champions League Golden Boot, may suffer from vote splitting with Yamal. When two top performers come from the same club, especially in a season without a clear-cut favourite, it can dilute support for both. In short, what happens off the field in these final weeks could be just as important as what's already happened on it. The Ballon d'Or is as much about when and how the story is told as it is about the numbers themselves. In a season full of tight margins, legacy-defining moments still lie ahead, and so does the final twist in this race for football's highest individual honour. In conclusion, Dembele got the trophies, Yamal's got the future, Raphinha's got the grind, and Salah, along with Mbappé, got the highlight reel. It's the kind of Ballon d'Or race where no answer might be the wrong answer, unless it's not your favourite player. In that case, it's clearly a robbery, which we'll all hear about for the next 6 months.